Hello,
We're doing a live
everybody, and
broadcast right now.
welcome back into another edition of Before the Sandstorm here on Gamecock Central. My name is Kendall Smith, joined alongside of Wes Mitchell. He looks a little distracted right now because it is game day here in sunny Jacksonville, Florida. South Carolina facing Notre Dame in the 2022 Tax Slayer Gator Bowl here at TIAA Bank Field in Jacksonville. Kickoff set for 3:30. And Wes, it looks like you're staying busy over there. You're at the tailgates. You're having fun. I'm kind of jealous.
Yeah, we are checking in with Gamecock Nation. This is an unofficial estimate, Kendall, but I think there's like 2 million Gamecock fans here. And I've seen 3 Notre Dame fans. So I don't know what the ratio is on that, but I think the Gamecocks are going to completely overmatch Notre Dame. As far as the fans in the stands, we'll find out if Carolina can do that on the field as well.
Listen, you are exactly right. This is a home game, basically, for South Carolina. Last night, we were out on the town in Jacksonville, and we saw a ton of South Carolina fans. I knew it was going to be a huge showing from the Gamecocks, but now that I'm actually out here and I'm about to enter the stadium, I'm walking around and I am seeing so much garnet and black. It's unbelievable. So it really is going to be like a home game atmosphere for South Carolina as they try to go 9-4 on the season. A win today would get them to 9 wins, and it's a big-time matchup, Wes. They're playing Notre Dame, an extremely storied program, very talented team that Marcus Freeman has, but South Carolina has looked good all week long. I was at a couple of their practices here in Jacksonville earlier in the week. They look confident. They look ready to go. Obviously, they're missing a few key pieces of the offense and a couple of defensive players as well due to the portal, due to NFL decisions. But listen, I think it's going to be a great game. And I think South Carolina's got a good chance to win this one. What about you, Wes?
Yeah, I do as well. We'll give our predictions here at the end, but I do feel pretty good about it. I don't know. There's something about, Kendall, the way South Carolina's played offensively the last couple of games. And the way they've played in bowl situations, start of the season situations, basically anytime Beamer's teams have had extra time to prepare, they have come in and looked well prepared, in my opinion. So, I think you feel pretty good about this. Kendall, I've got a little bit different approach to guys missing. In my opinion, if you're a fan of the Gamecocks out there, I think you would rather have the guys who are still, to steal a phrase from the team from the upstate, you want the guys who are all in to be here and to be with the team. If a guy is 50-50, he's unsure, if he's looking ahead a little bit, then, I think you're making the right decision if you're a player and you have to make that personal decision to go ahead and leave the team. I thought it was very interesting when Beamer said that essentially, hey, if you're going to hit the transfer portal, we love you, we wish you well, but we don't want you playing in the bowl game. So I think there's something to be said for the guys that are here are all guys that want to be here, want to contribute. And I look at this as an opportunity. Like, this is an excellent opportunity for the young guys who have worked their tails off all season long and have now not had that chance to actually go contribute to South Carolina. So I'm excited to see some of these guys that we haven't seen this season.
Right, and it's not as if this is a doom and gloom situation for South Carolina. Yes, you don't have Marshawn Lloyd. Yes, you don't have Zach Pickens. Yes, you don't have Darius Rush, and you don't have Jaheim Bell, but you still got Spencer Rattler. You still got Juice Wells. You still got a couple of big-time playmakers on the offense. You still have a very strong core of your defense here for this game. And you mentioned players coming back. Those are the players that want to be here for today's game. And someone asked Spencer Rattler yesterday, and Spencer has a decision to make, obviously, on whether he'll stay or go to the NFL draft, why he came back. And he said it's the right thing to do. He's been with this team all season long. He wanted to finish out with this team. So the guys that are here, they've got a mission in mind this week, and that is winning this Gator Bowl against Notre Dame. It would be a huge statement for South Carolina and just an opportunity for them to capitalize off of the momentum from the end of the season, and then, of course, this signing day momentum as well. But, Wes, you talked about some of those younger players, and I think today we are going to see some guys from South Carolina who maybe haven't had as many touches this season or as much playing time have that opportunity. Who are some of those names that you're kind of looking out for in today's game that might pop up and get some opportunities?
Yeah, I think first and foremost, you look at running back, and obviously no Marshawn Lloyd, but but no Jaheim Bell, who technically, has been listed as a tight end. But we saw when Lloyd went out, it was primarily Jaheim Bell who kind of filled in as South Carolina's top rusher, their first guy out there. So I think it's an opportunity for a much more healthy CBS, Christian Bill Smith, opportunity for Juju McDowell, who I think I know, Kendall, you're a big fan of him and his game. Definitely a fan favorite, just a great kid, great dude, great spirit, personality. I mean, there's a ton to like about Juju McDowell, as I almost get run over by a bicycle out here. But, I think you go past that. Some of the wide receivers, obviously we know Juice Wells is going to be the top target today. We know that guys like Amarian Brown, Kerryon Joyner, Xavier Legette are going to be on the field. But I think maybe a chance for some guys like Landon Sampson, Omega Blake to possibly get in on, the action. And then, Kendall, you go to the defensive side. You talked about the losses in the secondary. No Darius Rush, no Cam Smith, no Devontae Reed. This is a chance for maybe a Keenan Nelson Jr., maybe a chance for a guy like Kawan Banks. There's some opportunities here for guys to go play. And, I'm here for it. Maybe an Emory Floyd gets in the mix at defensive back. So you kind of start to look at the guys that are going to be, quote, second teamers today, but will be rotating in. I think it's kind of fun to get a look at what this team could look like in the future for South Carolina.
I think that defense today is going to be very freshman heavy. We've already seen Nick Eamon-Worry and DQ Smith hold it down on the defense for a good amount of this season. But you mentioned there Kawan Banks, Emory Floyd, Keenan Nelson Jr., all true freshmen for South Carolina. And another great rule about the bowl game is that this game doesn't count as one of the 4 games that could potentially prohibit those guys from redshirting. So essentially South Carolina could use them today, and that wouldn't affect whether or not they decided to redshirt for next year. But, Wes, we always talk about this every single before the Sandstorm, and we've got to do it today. Impact players for South Carolina on defense, offense, and then special teams. Tell me what you got.
Oh, wow. Put me on the spot, Kendall. I guess I should have been prepared for that. Am I allowed to go Spencer Rattler? I feel like I can. I feel like I will.
I think it's an obvious answer. We say that every week. Can we go Spencer Rattler? And then we go Spencer Rattler.
Okay, let's just say Spencer is a given. Let's go Juice Wells. I mean, that's the other guy that to me is the given for them. Like with the losses on the offense as far as skill players go, we know Juice had sort of emerged as a top option anyway, but I think that really gets solidified today. He's going to need to have a big game, and I suspect he will. If he doesn't have a big game, that probably means Notre Dame is having to use a lot of their resources to try and stop him, which should open up things for maybe an Amarian Brown, maybe a Nate Adkins, who we saw really emerge in the passing game as well the last couple of weeks of the season. So let's go Juice on offense. What you got, Kendall?
Me for offense, I'm going Nate Adkins. So South Carolina's tight end room is very thin, as everybody already knows, and the only true tight end that started in that core at the beginning of the season that's still here today at the Gator Bowl is Nate Adkins. And it's not just about him making a big-time play. I actually predicted, go to GamecockCentral.com, little shameless plug, that Nate would get a touchdown today. I think he's going to see the ball a lot more, especially than he has throughout the season. But Nate is the type of guy who makes an impact not just by making the big time play. He's a great blocker. He's just that really rough kind of physical guy who's going to go out there and be a team player. So he is my offensive weapon for South Carolina. I think he needs to play well and do a lot of those small things that he typically does to give South Carolina an edge on the offense.
Yeah, and I think, Beamer said earlier this week, Kendall, that Nate could not play every snap. That sounded like a challenge to me. Nate feels like the guy who very well may actually play every snap. So as long as he's healthy, I'll be counting how many times is this guy on the field. I think it's going to be almost the entire game, if not the entire game. Somebody asked in our comments, Kendall, what's the answer at tight end and running back? We already talked about running backs a little bit, but Nate is the only guy listed at tight end on the depth chart, which means they're going to get, I would say, a little bit creative. But, hey, let's not forget, there are some former offensive linemen or current offensive linemen who have played some tight end for South Carolina. Wyatt Campbell has played some tight end this year. He's back healthy. And remember last year, Trey Jones playing tight end and fullback in goal line situations. So this is not any information, but it just kind of hit me. I was like, that would make a lot of sense when Carolina's in short yardage or goal line to just load up on blockers, put Wyatt out there, put Trey Jones out there. and potentially go super heavy at the tight end position. We saw Carolina get creative in the bowl game last year. I suspect we will see similar things as far as them just doing some little tweaks here and there to put them in the best position to win. So, hey, Kendall, you can go first on defense. Who you got?
Okay, defense, I've got to go with my guy, Nick Eamon-Wari. He's
I
been
knew
great
it.
all season long. I go with Nick a lot, but it's because, every single week he just amazes me with the fact that he's 18 years old and he is a true freshman. Like I said earlier, this defense is going to be very, very heavily run today by freshmen, true freshmen for South Carolina. Nick is going to have to be a leader on defense today because some of those guys that are going to see the field haven't seen the field very much throughout the entire season. Nick has played in SEC games. He was a big factor in the Clemson game as well. So he needs to step up. If Notre Dame has a strength in their offense, it's certainly their run game. So him at linebacker, I think he's going to be a big opportunity for South Carolina to really step up, try to stop the run for Notre Dame. And he really needs to also be that guy who's a leader on the field and kind of helping some of those younger guys who might, be a little bit nervous and a little bit shell-shocked for their first time out there in a big-time, high-stakes matchup like this one.
By the way, breaking news, South Carolina alum Alyssa Lang has officially arrived at the stadium. Just saw her walk in right by us with the announcer team.
You didn't run over there and try to talk to her?
Well, I was going to yell at her, but I figured yelling over the stream probably wouldn't sound very good. So I decided not to. Well, that's true. But, yeah, I knew you were going to pick Nick. By the way, I'll give a shameless plug to Kendall's Garnet Trust interview. If y'all have some time, if you're not at the game, which actually, again, I think you're all here, but if you're not at the game, in the meantime, go check that out. It's on the GC YouTube. Kendall, I'm going to go a little bit outside the box. Give me O'Donnell Fortune, because
it's a good one.
He's a guy who's going to be asked to step in. He actually, if you go back and look, played quite a bit in the Clemson game when Darius Rush was banged up. But you got to think Marcellus Dowell on one side at cornerback, OD on the other. These offensive coordinators, they like to try to pick on the guys who haven't played a lot. I think they'll probably try to pick on OD a little bit. I think it'll be a big opportunity for him. We'll find out if he can step up and take that on. So I think if OD Fortune does have a big game, or even if you just don't hear his name, like you don't see that they're having success against him, then that would be a really good sign for the South Carolina defense.
All right, you talked about getting creative a little bit earlier in an area where South Carolina is always creative, and I don't know if Wes has gone out on us, but an area where South Carolina is always creative is on special teams, and they're facing one of the best special teams units in the country, which is, of course, Notre Dame. So I'll go ahead and start off with mine because, Wes, I don't know if you're even there. I think you just popped back into the screen. But for special teams, my impact player has to be Mitch Jeter. South Carolina needs all the points they can get today up on that board. Obviously, you don't want to kick field goals if you're South Carolina. You want to score touchdowns. But in the situation where you are kicking a field goal, you need for Mitch Jeter to be consistent. You need him to be consistent on the extra points. Every opportunity to score for South Carolina, they need that opportunity, and they need Mitch Jeter to get out there today and just do his job. He doesn't need to, like you said about OD Fortune, you don't want to hear really anything about Mitch Jeter unless, of course, he makes a 65-yard field goal. But you don't want to hear anything about him otherwise because you just want him to go out there and do what needs to be done for South Carolina. So, Wes, who's your special teams impact player today?
I'm going to go special teams impact coach, the man, Pete Limbo, best special teams coordinator in the country. And I guarantee that this Notre Dame special teams has South Carolina's attention. These are two of the best special teams units in the entire country. So I think what does Limbo dial up? What approach does he take to maybe replacing some guys that are also opt-outs, or maybe there are guys that are going to have to step in because the guys who are normally playing special teams are now playing bigger roles on offense and defense. So there's kind of a domino effect to your starters, some of them leaving. So Pete Limbo, I guarantee, will have a plan. We'll see if South Carolina can execute it. Special teams will be massive today because this is one of the few teams Carolina's played all year long that has had special teams on par with theirs. So whoever wins that battle got a great shot to win this game.
Fair point, Wes. I think, we're kind of getting to the end of this before the Sandstorm Gator Bowl edition, so we got to finish it out the way we always finish it out, which is with our game predictions. Wes, who you got in today's Gator Bowl matchup?
All right, I'm going Gamecocks. I've got 31-28. Ultimately, in a close game, bowl games are very, very difficult to predict. But close games, bowl games, give me the best quarterback on the field. Notre Dame is breaking in a somewhat new quarterback. He started their first 2 games, got injured, was out for the rest of the season. Their starter has hit the transfer portal. Give me Spencer Rattler. Give me Juice Wells. Give me the Gamecocks offense. And I've got South Carolina 31, Notre Dame 28. Kendall, what you got?
I got South Carolina 34, Notre Dame 24. I think the Gamecocks are going to win this game, and I think they're going to win in all 3 phases. Like you said, that Spencer Rattler, Juice Wells connection, I expect it to be once again great today, just like it was the last 2 games of the regular season. I also think South Carolina is going to pull out some stops on special teams too. And, it's going to be, I think, hard for South Carolina not to feel the energy and the excitement here in Jacksonville, because there are so many South Carolina fans. I'm hearing them screaming over there. They're all out here. They are ready to go for this game, just painting the town garnet and black. And I think that's going to be really felt by the South Carolina players as they head onto the field at TIAA Bank later today.
Yeah, I'm going to upgrade. I actually saw 3 Notre Dame fans walk by while we were doing this. So there are 6 Notre Dame fans here. But still, again, 2 million Gamecock fans, unofficial count by me. So the ratio has changed a little bit, but still heavily in South Carolina's favor, Kendall.
Huge shout out to South Carolina fans. This is massive for recruiting. It's just great for the program. Shane Beamer talked about it, how fans need to show out, and they certainly have. And they're creating that energy and that excitement that's helping to propel South Carolina forward. And certainly a win today over Notre Dame, that would be massive for South Carolina and their momentum as well. It would get them to 9 wins on the season, and arguably their best season in the last decade. So they're trying to finish it out strong here. 3:30 p.m. in the 2022 Tax Slayer Gator Bowl at South Carolina against Notre Dame. And on the last note here, Wes, this is our last before the Sandstorm of the 2022 season. It's gone by so fast. I feel like we were just doing the first game of the year. I think it was on September 3rd. Literally feels like yesterday, and now we're all the way almost in 2023. But it's been a super fun time. We appreciate all of you tuning in and watching before the Sandstorm. We'll have after the Sandstorm. After today's game, we'll have plenty more content coming out on Gamecock Central. So follow us on social media at Gamecock Central. Be sure to check out GamecockCentral.com. And Wes, before we get out of here, any final words that you would like to say?
No, I mean, like you said, Happy New Year to everybody. We appreciate everybody tuning in. Kendall, this is our last one of the year. Hopefully it's not our last one ever. Kendall graduates coming up in the spring. So who knows what the future holds. But, hey, even if you're working somewhere else full-time, Kendall, we can still do before the Sandstorm. So I'm going to just speak it into existence. This is the last one this year. This won't be the last one ever. But, Kendall, I've enjoyed it. To all the fans that have listened in, appreciate y'all, love y'all, and enjoy the game. Check out everybody's coverage from GC on GamecockCentral.com.
Enjoy the game, soak it in. This is my last one as a student, so definitely a bittersweet moment. But at the end of the day, I think it's going to be a great time here in Jacksonville, and we hope, again, that you all have a great time and stay safe out there as well. Thank you all so much for joining us on this edition of Before the Sandstorm. We're live here in Jacksonville. We got plenty more coming your way. Gator Bowl at 3:30 between Notre Dame and South Carolina. He's Wes Mitchell. I'm Kendall Smith, and this has been Before the Sandstorm. Have a great game day, everybody.